Good morning. I'm Prathap. One of the things I do is to work with the Cochrane collaboration. I've been doing this for the past 20 years. The other things I do, I'm a psychiatrist and I work in my Christian Medical College, which pays my salary. So basically, I'm a volunteer for evidence. And I got involved in this just doing clinical work and asking questions, why do we do this when we should be doing that? And at that time, I was in the UK doing my membership and I fell into bad company, very infectious company, who inspired me with their vision of a world where we can actually use evidence to inform our health decisions. At that time, it was a buzzword was evidence-based medicine, and over the past 20 years or so, I've realized that's a myth. Very often, there is no evidence. What evidence there is cannot be trusted, and if it can be trusted, it cannot be used because it's too expensive, it's not available, or you don't want to use it. So this global organization has taught me that trying to use evidence to inform your health decisions consists of two things. One is being sure that what purports to be evidence actually is relevant and useful to people. Very often, research evidence is not meant for people. It's meant for other things, promotions and fame and other things. Our job in Cochrane is to sift through all that passes for evidence and collate every single study we can lay our hands on and see what works in this and what does not work in this. And if we find that these studies are actually comparable, we could try and extract the data from for these outcomes and pool them in a process called meta-analysis, which then gives you a quantifiable result of how effective this intervention is, best case, worst case scenarios, and also one more step that Cochrane has pioneered, linking that evidence with the degree of confidence that you can place in that evidence that it will work for you and that it will not change when a new study comes out. So this is a very important part of a health professional's life, that when we treat the people that we believe we are treating, we need to know in advance. So Cochrane is into predictions. A systematic review is a prediction based on what's done in the past as to will it work for you. And in India, it's starting to make some sort of an impact. And I must thank the Indian Council of Medical Research for this, because starting from Dr. Nirmal Ganguly's time when Vasanta and Lalit were there, they've been appraised of the fact that often our policies are not based on evidence. And I remember the very first example when a government official working for the Ministry of Health in Colombo, who is with the National Malaria Program, asked this simple question: why is it that in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, when we want to prevent relapses due to Vivax malaria, we give 5 days of primaquine following chloroquine. Chloroquine kills the blood forms, and primaquine goes after the liver forms. When WHO says we should be using 14 days of primaquine, a simple question: do we give the drug for 5 days or do we give for 14 days? So this girl contacted the Cochrane Infectious Diseases group, and I work with that group in an effective healthcare research consortium, which aims to answer these questions for low and middle income countries. We did a systematic review, and we found 9 studies from India, Afghanistan, our area. Put studies together, it shows that giving 5 days of primaquine is as good as giving nothing in terms of relapse prevention, and that was our policy. Giving 14 days was far superior to giving 5 days, nothing, and giving 14 was far superior to giving 5. So we took this to the ICMR. I don't know whether you remember this, Anju, when we came and presented this to the ICMR saying, we don't want to embarrass our government by publishing this without sharing these results with you. And the leadership at that time was so clued in to how they could help that they bought a national subscription for the Cochrane Library for India. And the Cochrane Library license was renewed 3 times until the budgetary cuts forced ICMR to say we can't afford it. But fortunately, India is a powerhouse, and we found other people, and now we're getting the license back through the National Medical Library. So India has access to high quality evidence that can be used to change the lives of people. But the challenges are, not many people know that this exists. Many people can understand how systematic reviews are constructed or trust them or interpret them adequately. And worst, it gives you bad news. Cochrane is about bad news for many people, because I know that there are reviews in that which clearly tell us many of the things we spend money on, like routine health checks, actually do not give you the benefits that you think it should. But who cares? It makes money. So our biggest problem in using evidence to inform health policy is because people don't understand how to use the evidence, or they make money anyway, and that is their bottom line evidence. Their bank balance tells them the evidence that they need. But having said that, we have a lot of people who have been inspired by this need to get at the truth to help our decision making. And there are more than 500, 600 people doing Cochrane systematic reviews in India. And many of these reviews are in WHO guidelines. And the government is now, we have a index TB guidelines, the Indian guidelines for extrapulmonary TB, which has used a very transparent process and Cochrane reviews to actually come up with evidence-based guidelines for answering specific questions. I'm really pleased to be here. I must thank Denny for being the person who brought it all together. We've got very interesting discussions, and some of them are controversial. But our job is to just look at each other and say, let's just not be like shoe companies. A long time ago, there's a very popular slogan which is still on, which says, just do it. In healthcare, you cannot do that because it matters. Thank you very much.